Oh, hello, welcome to my laboratory. I just wanted to show this new Joule Thief variant that I made. It is designed to light the NE-2 neon bulb there, and I have it hooked up to the oscilloscope right now. And that's where the zero baseline is, right there for that trace. And we're set at 50 volts per division. And the time base is at 20 microseconds per division on there. Okay. And, oh, sorry. Here is the circuit diagram that we're looking at. Now, for this circuit, I compared 4 different base resistor arrangements here, and this is what I'm using right now. It's 1K with 60 nanofarads in parallel. Okay, so we've got the new coil that I wound using a ferrite bead, 15 turns center tap, not using the center tap here, and then 250 turns of number 22 on the outside, and that's that coil there. And the inner core of it is a ferrite bead like this one here, sold as an RF suppression bead. That's still going, incidentally, from 4 days ago, I think. Okay, so anyhow, so there's the circuit, there's the coil, the primary comes out there, plus there's the center tap that we're not using. This is just a little wafer here that I can use to monitor the current. So battery negative then down through here and then back up into the circuit. And then there's the 1K and the 60 nanofarads from the coil secondary to the base, and then the emitter comes back over to there. And that's it. And this is a 3055 transistor there, and a little pedestal, and that's all that there is to it. Okay, now there's the neon, and so what I'll do is I'll get a battery here and put it in. Like so. Okay, the neon's not lit, but you can see that we are oscillating. We have 150 volt peaks there on the oscillations, but the neon's not lit. And there's our battery voltage has drawn down to 1.19, and the current is 350 milliamps. Now here is the interesting thing. This is a 220 ohm resistor here. And what I'm going to do is just stroke that across here. And of course, it doesn't work. You can see how the oscillation frequency changes, and also the voltage changes when I touch that resistor in there. The battery voltage goes down, and the overall current draw goes up, of course, but this battery is still just a little too weak, so let me go to another battery here. Okay, yeah, there's our oscillations, there's our current draw and voltage right now, but the NE-2 is not lit. So now I take the 220 ohm resistor and just stroke it across here, boom, and you see that lights the NE-2. And it also changes the oscillation frequency and the waveform shape, okay, and also the current and voltage on the battery there, okay. And as you can see, I think you can see that NE-2 is glowing quite brightly, as it should be, with 140 volt spikes in there. Okay, now let's do that again. If I interrupt the circuit, the oscillations are there at a higher frequency and also even a higher voltage. That's about 145 volts there. 145 volts. But it doesn't light the NE-2. And there's our voltage and current. So now if I take the 220 ohm resistor and stroke it, of course this time it's not going to work either. So apparently I need a battery voltage that's at least 1.2 volts for this to work. Let's put this one in. Yeah, it's not lit. Well, I got it to work one time. I'm trying different batteries now. Let's see if I can find one that's over that threshold voltage of about 1.2 volts. It doesn't work if I do it with a shorting jumper. It has to be a 220 ohm resistor. And of course it also has to be a sufficient battery voltage. Okay, this one will work. This has got 1.26 on there. So now if I just stroke it with the resistor, boom, the NE-2 comes on. And let's try to do that again. If I interrupt the circuit, put the battery in, 1.23 volts, neon's not lit, waveforms like that, 220 ohm resistor, boom, neon's lit, waveform changes, voltage and current, like that. Okay, let's do it again. Interrupt the circuit, reestablish contact, oscillations, voltage and current, 220 ohm resistor, neon comes on, waveform changes, voltage and current, interrupt the circuit, reestablish contact, reestablish contact, oscillations. This time I'm going to use just a piece of wire jumper. Okay. You can see that the oscillations change when I do that. They get a lot slower, but the neon doesn't come on. I get a lot more current over here when I jump that with just a wire, but the neon doesn't come on. But if I use a 220 ohm resistor, whoops, now my battery is too dead. Battery voltage has got to be over about 1.2 volts for it to turn on by this triggering here. There we go. Turned on. Okay, if anybody would like to explain this to me, I would be happy to hear about it. Thank you for watching.